Good afternoon and welcome to round 12 of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2024 from the historic Watkins Glen. 4 drivers are still in contention for the title with 3 rounds to go, the reigning champion leading the way. Joining me for the next chapter in the title fight, Robin Ciuman. Good afternoon, Robin. Good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be back. I'm really looking forward to this one. We could see a decision in the Drivers' Championship here today, though it is unlikely. But yeah, I think it will still be a great fight, especially with the momentum rather being against our current championship leader.
Absolutely. And let's have a little look at those standings just as a reminder to see how things are going on. So at the minute, the gap is 11 points between the Holland Racing team teammates, Volborn and Poland's. Poland's jumping into second in the championship after his win last time in Silverstone. Lucas Murno just a further point back. And Philip Pushka is 18 points behind. If he doesn't get a good result today, he could fall out of the title fight this afternoon. And as Robin mentions, there is a really good chance that, not a really good chance, a slim chance that Volborn could win this afternoon. But he would need quite unfortunate afternoon from Poland's and Murno for that to happen. In the constructors, that's a little bit more straightforward, as last time Holland Racing Team secured the constructors title, and they're 1-2 in the championship. They're the most consistent pairing. It was coming from a long way off, and they have managed it. The fight for second, Scuderia Cesario currently leading SCMM. Optimal in the meantime, still trying to hold out ahead of Better Julia, but there's still a chance for Better Julia to get ahead. But as far as we can tell, both teams are only running one driver today, and Optimal are without Reuven Meshida, so there is an opportunity for Better Julia there. In the meantime, Potenza Esports have taken a little bit of firmer control over that fight for 6th place, which basically encompasses the whole bottom half of the table. But some good points from substitute Alfie White put Magnum back in the frame. But it is a fight between Infernal, Kostek, and Velocita to avoid the wooden spoon. Now, we go ahead to Watkins Glen this afternoon. As you can see, 3 rounds to go. And what does the weather bring us this afternoon? Well, no dramas. After the on and off showers of Silverstone, it's pure sun this afternoon. But as you can see, temperatures still looking on the slight cooler side, 8 and 7 degrees. So we'll see how that affects things. But otherwise, it is a dry race, which is different to last season as we had a wet qualifying dry race. So we'll see how that affects the teams this afternoon. It has to be said, HRT looking the favourites again at this early point, but we will see if any of the championship rivals in the form of Murno or Pushka can do anything about it. So we head to the track, and we're just going to catch, I think, the end of the practice session very soon. We will jump into qualifying. As I mentioned just then, qualifying was a wet session last year. And in terms of the race itself, it was won by a familiar name for long-term watchers of the series, Max Riedmuller, picking up his 2nd ever win. But Volborn and Poland's were 2nd and 3rd. So Robin, as ever, as we wait for the changeover of sessions, have you any predictions for this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm gonna be boring a bit today and say Yannis Volborn is going to win it, just because he currently is on a run of 2 winless races. He only had this once this season, and he responded by a very dominant win in Italy. So I will have him for the win here today, and I'll be very interested though to see if the 2 HRTs fight each other, because usually they do not really do that. But now Poland is as close as ever, and I think closer than he has ever been in that late stage of the season. So yeah, will be interesting if they are allowed to fight, or if Poland's lets Yannis go.
Well, the Constructors' title is decided, so you could argue there's no reason for them not to fight. It is just securing the drivers at this point. But are they going to be more concerned about the close proximity of Lucas Murno? And just to kind of follow up on your point about Volborn's consistency, not only not winning in the last two races, he's also finished off the podium in the last two races, and that's only ever happened once before, and that was last season, which also incidentally included a trip to Portimao, so he's clearly not a fan of that particular circuit. And he followed up that dry spell with a win, of course. He won in Silverstone. So it would be unprecedented if he was to be off the podium for a third race in a row. That's never happened before. It is a slightly worrying omen, potentially, based on those two respective stats, that we may get a response from the reigning champion this afternoon. Okay, I think we are still just waiting for the switch over in servers. Qualifying session can begin. As ever, thank you for joining us this afternoon. 18 drivers ready to go. 15-minute session will start less than 15 seconds. Oh, actually more than 15 seconds. Just another quick refresh there. We'll expect to see some cars coming to the end of the pit lane. In fact, there's the first one. It's usually an orange car, and that does look like Yannis Volborn is once again at the front of the queue. Newly crowned Constructors' Champions lead us out. A glorious afternoon. Oh, and it's Poland's leading the way. Wonder if that would be an omen for the afternoon. We shall see. Pretty flawless performance from him last time out. Pole and the win. Didn't seem particularly troubled. Managed to get away, whilst Volborn got involved in quite a few tasty fights throughout that race last time out. See if there's any more juicy battles this afternoon.
Well, I just received intel that indeed Pascal Pollens is fighting for that slim chance of winning the title. So, yeah, we do not expect to see any team orders here today, and in fact in the last two races of the season that follow this one. So it should be very, very interesting.
That is interesting, because obviously they've done such a good job working as a team. We often refer to the orange wall, how they've constantly worked together to make sure they are consistent and score well. And Pascal usually does the setups for them as well. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much of that gets set aside in this fight for the title. And Poland's will set the first flying lap. Join him on what is known as the back straight. Head towards the bus stop chicane. Brave through here, clipping a hefty amount of the curbs, a bit of a broad slide through the middle of it, then round the outer loop we go, down into the chute. Turn 6, a section of the track known as the boot. First part of the boot, this is the toe. Hug the inside, and then up this short straight. And of course, what's at the back of the boot? Of course, it's turn 8, heel. Turn uphill towards turn 9. Slightly awkward corner, this one. Slightly blind in places, and then head towards turn 10. Firing it through turn 11 with the pit entry line there, and that slightly awkward position just on the right. DRS across the line. Volborn is right behind. Does he respond? And he immediately goes with a brilliant first lap. I wonder if he benefited a little bit from a toe there in certain places on the track. 8/10. Formidable opening lap. Benton Reader, when he just overcooks it there on the exit of 9. He's still going, and he will finish the lap. Where this puts him, and despite that error, it is currently in the top 8. Now follow the lone optimal this afternoon. No Reuven Meshida, unable to make it, so Paolo Bellamy gets himself up to 11th to begin with. Velocita are sporting an all-new lineup for the rest of the season. All new, I should say, compared to the beginning of the season. Started the year with Jendrik Beerhoff and Mark Jordan, and they'll be finishing the year with Misha Smith. And to be fair, where is his teammate? Can't see him.
Alfie White, P17.
Ah, there he is. Oh, and we cut to Alfie with a slightly unfortunate situation. Missing a front wing and having to dive out the way there.
That is indeed not the ultra low downforce Velocita design. That is not supposed to be that way. I think there was a short yellow in sector 2. So that might have been it. Oh, that is a bit unfortunate, that pit entry there.
And obviously the issue when he's trying to get the car turned, he's got no downforce. Oh, and is this going to happen almost at the beginning? Oh, he's just going to have missed the pit entry as well. So he's had to do an entire lap like that. Just coming out of the final corner and tagging the wall. So that's going to have cost him quite a lot of time. And here comes Diogo Meneghetti, another substitute. He was subbed in last time out. Making his debut in the WMSC for Beta Julia. Today he's in for Mateus Machado at Potenza. So he qualified 16th, finished 15th, but I do remember he looked quite solid in places and was doing quite well, especially when you consider it's, awkward conditions, and these cars are very difficult to control in the wet. And so far up in 6th, a solid start from him. So it'll be good to see him back and see what he can do today.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of good, fresh new talent coming in WMSC halfway through this season now. One of this being, as pointed out by Max99 in the chat, Axel Laflamme, who is currently sitting in 4th. He had some very good performances in qualifying in the few races that he has done so far. He couldn't translate it into good race pace, or had a bit of trouble sometimes inside of his control, sometimes outside of his control in the race. I think 2 weeks ago he was being taken out by João Fernando in the opening lap. So maybe today is finally the day where he can have a nice race that fits to the strong pace that he has shown in qualifying so far.
Absolutely. And very unlucky. He ended up having a very quiet afternoon after that first lap collision, because obviously straight away 1 lap down. But he's, spoke to him and he says he's a big fan of the Glen. He loves racing here in the dry, so it's a little bit more confidence there as well. So far, 4th is a good start to the session for him. We'll see if he can keep it there. In the meantime, Pascal Poland's responding with 2 purple sectors. Through the heel we go, and broad sliding over the curb. This is a good response so far.
Seeing the sector split times, he must have all lost it in that final sector on his first run, because in both sectors he's barely under a 10th quicker than his lap before. Once again, it's the final sector, but this time it's just 0.081 that he is behind his... No, has he taken pole? Yes, provisional pole. Sorry, I completely missed that. But Poland's now ahead of Walborn.
The battle heats up. Can anyone else get close? Murno with a last-minute decision to duck in. Here comes Benton Reader. You have a tidier final sector to help him get up the order. No, he's slower there and remains 8th. João Fernando having a very shaky moment on the exit of heel. comes into the final two corners. In the meantime, Filip Puška this afternoon needs a good result. Otherwise, his slim shot at the title could be over. He's currently 18 points behind Janis Volborn. There's 30 points left, a maximum of 30 points left, but after today there will only be 20. So if he loses a couple of points to Janis Volborn, his title fight could be over. But he's been a very consistent performer this season. Has finished in the points 9 races in a row and finished on the podium 8 races in a row. Incredible run of form. So I'd wager he's going to be up there again as he crosses the line and gets himself up to 4th with that big front 4 once again. Good response lap from him.
Yeah, but the gap between Murno, Puška, Laflamme and the 2 HRTs is quite substantial. It's almost a second. So this track and these conditions, maybe with the cold temperatures, really suiting HRT very, very well indeed. So this is going to be a tough afternoon for Murno and Puška if they cannot improve here.
And what was slightly ominous is in terms of the teams that brought upgrades to this race, there are only 2. One of them was Optimal, and obviously they're out without their star player, if you like, in the form of Ruben Meshida. But the other team was, of course, HRT, bringing a handful of upgrades, improving the nose, the rake, and both front and rear downforce, which, very useful around this circuit. So they're in a good position today, and it is setting it up for a close fight between teammates.
Yeah, but this is maybe where the big chance for Murno and Puška may lay after all. The Constructors' Championship is already decided. If they overdo it, it might be a chance for Murno and Puška to pick up the pieces.
Very true, and we saw a little bit of, I don't know if you call it temper or his temperament last time with Janis Volborn, and obviously getting that penalty and then blocking for his maximum allowed number of laps, and backing Lucas Murno into the cars behind. So the full force of his 5-second penalty was felt. So yeah, there is a chance that Janis could get heated. But obviously these guys are teammates. Will they have a better kind of reading of each other, and will they know where the line is? It will be interesting to see.
And it's just abandoned a lap with a purple middle sector there, so this is very interesting.
I wonder if he's saving it. I wonder if there was a little bit of sandbagging there, thinking, okay, I think I've got the measure of him. I'm going to save that to the very end and hopefully leave Pascal without a right to reply. But that is a very aggressive line into the bus stop, and it's just, I would say, ruined Alexander Knezevic's lap there. As announced last time out, Knezevic parting ways with Scuderia Cesario at the end of the season. Cesario's lineup to be announced next time out in Brazil.
I wonder whether that is done on purpose, announcing it in Brazil, and with Lucas Murno being their current lead driver. But we'll see that in 2 weeks' time, I guess.
Will indeed. Join João Fernando Labau, who will be, speaking of Brazil, moving, if the announcement is to be believed, that Bravo Snow Shatten will be joining the grid next season. The reason I say that is we were expecting them on the grid this season, and we're not sure why they never joined, but they have announced that they are going to be on the grid for next year with former SCMM driver Gustavo Fragoto and the man you're watching now, João Fernando Labau. So the Brazilian super squad joining the grid for 2025. João Fernando Labau up to 11th there, just missing out on the top 10. 2 minutes to go in the session. people will be starting to line up their final runs now.
And once again, I want to point out what a great lap by Axel Laflamme. He's still there in 5th, just 1,000 of a second slower than Philip Puschke. So that must have been an incredible lap by Axel.
Doing an incredible job, again, standing in for Philip Feckler in the Costech. And it's quite a result if he can get up there and stay up there. I imagine he will be among the flurry of final drivers trying to get themselves lined up for one last run. In fact, I think we just saw him in the back of the picture there. Currently following Alfie White, who did an incredible job for Magnum last time as a substitute, scoring points for them, and is now in the Velocita for the end of the season, replacing Jendrik Beerhoff. And White comes across the line, only up to 15th, ahead of Harley Self. Here comes Laflamme, and he is starting a lap, but it looks like he's got traffic ahead of him. And if that car is on a flying lap, that Velocita doesn't have to get out of the way, so that's going to be unfortunate for him.
But Laflamme improved to 4th. He's ahead of Puschke now.
Oh, that was a flying lap. Oh, well spotted. I'd completely missed that. Well, he'd already done what he needed to do. Incredible work.
And he will start ahead of Laflamme. Puschke is not on a push lap.
He's got 20 seconds to get round to the line. I think he should get there. So
you're right.
This should hopefully... Oh, but he's hit the wall. Oh, and has that damaged the car? Oh, no, he bails out. Laflamme will start ahead of Puschke. Incredible. Here comes Poland's, though, perfectly timed with just 6 seconds on the clock. Making sure he will be the last person to set a flying lap. And the person just ahead of him is Jannis Volborn. They will literally be the last 2 laps in this qualifying session, setting up a grandstand finish. Slower, though, in the first sector by 0.08 of a second. Through the bus stop we go. Oh, and he's gone wide, and he's just pushed it a little too hard, which means it's all on Jannis Volborn.
I don't see a first sector time.
No, and I think he might have breached track limits as well. So Lucas Murno, could he split them? He's going to have to bridge a hell of a gap to do it, or will he stay 3rd? He does stay 3rd. It's an improvement. And in all of that, Daniel Benton-Reader... Oh, I was going to say Daniel Benton-Reader's gotten ahead, but I can't see Philip Puschke. Has Puschke disconnected? That is interesting. So we'll see where he starts, because Puschke was in 5th. But I believe that is all the flying laps done. And this is our provisional grid, pending whatever happens to Philip Puschke, because there is now only 17 in the server. So we'll see what happens there.
Don't know if there's any precedent for that. I don't remember this happening. I think he should still be ahead of Benton-Reader, if I remember the gaps correctly.
I think so. It's just if, we saw him bail out of that lap. But we're not sure why he left, if that was a planned leaving of the session to sort something out, or if he's disconnected. But anyway, we have our provisional grid, and it is Pascal Poland's critically on pole ahead of title rival Jannis Volborn, just 0.08 of a second separating them. Lucas Murno is 3rd, ahead of a brilliant performance from Axel Laflamme. Daniel Benton-Reader currently in 5th, pending on what happens to Philip Puschke, ahead of Gino Gagiano, and both the Potenzes again with an incredible performance. They are looking in a really strong position for that 6th place in the constructors. Peckley and substitute Meneghetti ahead of Gonzalez Cativo. And there is Puschke. Puschke has just reappeared and retakes his 5th. So Cativo rounding out the top 10. It's Knezovic 11th. João Fernando Labau is 12th ahead of Victor B. The lone optimal of Paolo Villarmin 14th ahead of Alfie White. Harley Self, Mauricio Quercio, and Misha Smith rounding out the grid. So we will have a short break and then it will be lights out from Watkins Glen in just around about 10 minutes. So we will see you very soon. Welcome back to Watkins, Glen, where we await the start of round 12 of WMSC 2024. We're just catching the end of the warm-up session, but before we go into the race, let's go over that starting grid one more time. It's a vital pole position for Pascal Polens, who's just 11 points behind his teammate Yanis Volborn in the championship. Lucas Murno just 12 points back in third. It's an incredible fourth for Axel Flam in the Costec, ahead of championship rival Philip Pushka. Benton Reeder continuing his fine form in the Better Julia in sixth. Gino Gajano in the other SCMM in seventh, just ahead of Gabriel Peckley. Teammate Diogo Meneghetti substitute in ninth. Gonzalez Cativo rounding out the top 10. Knezovic and João Fernando Labau on row 6. Victor B in Infernal Void with the lone Optimal of Paulo Valami in 14th. Alfie White, German, the fellow cheater there, just ahead of Harley Self, and Mauricio Quercio rounding out the grid. I believe we are just missing a driver in the server, so there are 18 on the grid, and they should head back in the moment. So we will have 18 starting the race, as far as I'm aware. Robin, I think I know the answer to this. I'm going to invite you. Would you like to change your prediction this afternoon, or are you sticking with Yanis Volborn?
No, I'm sticking with Yanis Volborn. No flip flopping. I'll stand by it.
I think that's a fair shout.
Yeah, who do you have for the race win?
Looking at the raw pace of those HRT cars, it looks like there's only one person who could take it off, and barring them taking each other out and Lucas Murno inheriting the win, Pascal Polens, I think, is the only other person who stands a chance. He's gotten back-to-back pole positions, so he's in good form. Obviously, winner last time out. Has been on the podium 4 races in a row now. So he's in better form than his teammate, but I know that means nothing. So yeah, he's the only person that can take the win off Volborn, I think, this afternoon, barring an inter-team spat. So I'll go with Polens, but it's going to be very close between them, and I'll be interesting to see how intense the racing gets.
Yeah, so with us two betting on HRT, I think we can all be sure that definitely Axel Flam is going to win this one then.
Yeah. Well, we have had a few instances of the commentators' curse this season, and you know, I've even tempted fate with Yanis saying, "Oh, he's never finished outside of the podium, like more than 2 races in a row." So, if there are any like horrible curses that we've put on people from our predictions this afternoon, I do apologize. To be fair, we should just send that apology direct to HRT.
Yeah.
So, if something does go wrong for them this afternoon, it's not our fault. Just want to put that out there. So we've just had the call from race control. Race starts in 1 minute. The session will jump. There is no formation lap. Cars will start appearing on the grid before you, and then we will have lights out. We'll also keep an eye on tyres. General rule, as has been throughout the season, is that you have to pick one set of tyres, either the aggressive super soft and medium or soft and hard combinations, and you then have to run each of those tyres in the race. Should it be a dry race, which definitely is going to be this afternoon. For the second race in a row, we have one driver looking like he's running the more durable set of tyres, and that is Gonzalez Cativo on the soft, in the yellow soft there you can see on screen. That's not necessarily going to be a starting tyre. Those will be revealed very soon as everyone starts popping onto the grid. Move towards the line as drivers start appearing. As you can see, you've got all 18 as well in and it was Misha Smith, I think we were missing. So Misha Smith lining up alongside Mauricio Quercio on that back row. Go. Slowly starting to pop in. Championship could be decided this afternoon, or it could just knock one driver out, or things could get even closer. Don't know, but the two firm favourites line up on the front row of the grid. 55 laps of the Glen. Everyone's on there. The revs come up, the lights come on, and out they go, and off we go. In Watkins Glen, it looks like LaFlamme's got a decent start. He's bunched up right behind one of the HRTs, and at the minute, Murno is on the inside of one of the HRTs. I think Poland's leads. Murno has a big opportunity up the hill now, and they go side by side. Volborn and Murno. I think Volborn might just hang on, but now Murno's got the inside once again. We head towards the bus stop. Who's going to back out? This is going to be very close indeed. And they all single file in through the bus stop. Is everyone through? I think there's a few people running wide. Ooh, and I think they're all just through. And Volborn hangs on from Murno, crucially. But that has once again, like in Silverstone and Poland's, just to have a little bit of respite. But it looks like everyone is through. And crucially as well for Axel LaFlamme, he's done a brilliant job of holding that fourth place. Pushka, though, is going to be keen to get past. This is going to be an important few laps for him because he's going to want to stay on the back of this top four. In the meantime, Murno, can he stay with the HRTs? Already it looks like Volborn has just shut the gap, and it's the front two starting to maybe pull a little bit of a gap. DRS will come on. That is going to be vital.
I think they have already cleared Murno. I think Murno is already out of that 1 second gap that would allow him to open the rear wing. But oh, there's a big crash, and I think that might be Lucas Murno.
Oh my goodness, that is Murno. One of the championship contenders is in the wall. He's kept it going, but that looks like front and rear wing gone. I must admit, I only caught the aftermath of that as I was looking at the tyre situation. But that is huge for Lucas Murno.
I bet he has lost it on the exit curve there. Because I think he hit the inside wall, which you usually do not do.
And you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. He's just caught the curve. It's part of it's some doubt. It was very lucky not for someone else to collect him as well. And
now look at this situation here. There is barely an inch between these two, so the fight has already begun. Great getaway from Poland. The reaction time of Janis Wilborn didn't look too great. I think all cars around him got away a bit earlier than he did.
And there's a statement there from Janis Volborn. He puts down the fastest lap that's immediately, on my screen, been taken away by Axel LaFlamme.
He's kind of sticking with them.
And he's obviously not fighting with anyone, so he's got a little bit of clear air. He's having a great start to this race, but in the meantime, Volborn right up behind. And it's always going to be an awkward place to try and pull a move into the bus stop. In the meantime, Daniel Benton-Reader is looking to do just that. And I think he's defending from Fernando Labau there to stay in the points. But he goes a little bit wide and Labau's through. He's just overcooked it on the exit. Could have a few heart-in-mouth moments through that little complex today.
That was very tight with Benton-Reader rejoining, or well, getting back on the racing line with Labau being already alongside him. But that not move from Wilborn looked very interesting to me because I was pretty sure that he had the pace and the straight line speed to go for it, especially with DRS. To me, it looked like he was holding back Victor B, trying to defend against the sister car of Misha Smith. There was contact, I think.
There was there. I think he slammed the door a little bit too hard. Paul Muller, we know, watching with his traditional ice cream this afternoon, probably not best pleased about that particular confrontation there. But B is trying very hard to get past Kostek and Mauricio Quercio. In the meantime, we've got Harley Self a lap down. I'm not sure what happened to him. We've got 3 drivers a lap down. So obviously, oh, Bellamy is stopped. The lone Optiminal. And we'll see what happened in a moment, but he looks like he's not moving. Is that some sort of suspension issue? Or because obviously he's got both wings intact, so there's damage that maybe we can't see to the car. In the meantime, Knezovic started the race 11th, up in 6th. Great start from him. And here comes Villami out of the pits. And I think he's gone in with damage. The car was snaking a bit, and I think he's maybe decided, no, I can't continue.
Now, if that was racing in real cars with real pit stop parcel, I would have said they didn't fit one of the tires properly.
Yeah.
But that definitely can't happen here. So that is a very odd situation there. But yeah, I think yours is a pretty good guess that the damage was just not fixed properly.
Now, interestingly, he's not. I've not had the call from race control that he was allowed to escape the car, and he doesn't seem to be there. So I wonder if we'll get maybe a little bit of a retrospective penalty for that. But he's definitely retired. Paolo Wallami, our first retirement of the day. We know what happened to Lucas Murno, and then obviously Harley Self at some point has gotten caught up in something and is also a lap down.
And you know what that means? You've talked about the fight for P4 in the Constructors' Championship between Optiminal and Beta Julia. Now, this has pushed the door wide open for Daniel Benton-Reader to properly reel Optiminal in. Optiminal definitely won't score today. Benton-Reader, as it stands, will only score 1 point here. He didn't have a great start, and we saw him have a little moment where he temporarily lost position to João Fernando as well. So he needs to get up the order as much as he can now.
Yeah, and he's got Peckley ahead of him, and he'll be hoping that he can get ahead of that Potenza, but Peckley has been performing very well in that car. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. In the meantime, 2 relative newcomers to the series, Alfie White and Diogo Meneghetti, fighting it out over the last spot in the top 10. Reminder that points only go down to 8, so not points paying positions at the moment. The Meneghetti's looking handy. DRS down this little stretch up into the bus stop. And a big clatter off the curb there from Alfie White, but hangs on, but he runs wide. Oh my goodness, and he manages to rejoin and hold the position just. And he's gone wide again. He seems to be really fighting that car. And actually he's moved wide. Has he got a problem, or is this not just his line? He seems to have gone for the undercut. He looked like a mistake, but he cuts back up the inside, looking to try and make a move into heel. Doesn't quite. He's got Gonzalez Cativo behind him.
Yeah, I think Meneghetti had the DRS, so that is what kept the Potenza ahead of the Velocita. But very interesting line he's chosen there. But the exit was much better for Alfie White compared to Diogo Meneghetti.
Meneghetti seems to have the place for now, but yeah, interesting few corners for Alfie White. Ruven Meshida of Optiminal Esports in the chat. We will go over what happened. We think happened with Paolo in a second, but this is what happened to Harley Self off the start. And now he stayed back to try and steer clear of anything. Oh, and he's done exactly what Lucas Murno did. Just catches the curb into the wall, and that's why he's a lap down. He's needed to get damage repaired. But yeah, what we think happened to Paolo Wallami is he retired with damage, but he seemed to have escaped without letting race control know. So we're not fully sure of the reason yet. It looked like he'd come out of the pits having damage repaired. I thought it looked like the car was maybe snaking a little bit, so I think he's had some suspension damage. We're not sure what contact he had, but yeah, he has retired the car. So it's, Wallami, our first retirement for today.
And something very interesting also happened at the top of the order. HRT, either they have now fully turned up to 11 and shown their true hand and true pace, because Axel Flam was sticking with them for the first 3 or 4 laps, but now in the course of 4 laps he's lost 4 seconds compared to the two HRTs, and now he's...
Oh, and we've had a safety car. Safety car has been called. I am not sure why. We'll see if there's any cars in the wall anywhere.
I don't see anyone dropping down the order. That would be stationary somewhere.
15th.
Alfie White. Yeah.
Yes. Alfie White, who looked to be fighting the car quite a lot when battling with Diogo Meneghetti, has had a moment here, and yeah, he didn't look comfortable in that car through those corners. And, you know, Alfie put in a fantastic performance last week for Magnum, scoring points. But something was amiss there. Whether he'd picked up some damage, I'm not sure. And he just slows it right down there. Oh, and and he's tried to slow down off the racing line. He's just been collected, and it looked like, again, call me crazy, the car suspension was slightly off there, I think.
Yeah, also he was locking the tires. I don't know if this is maybe also something that happened with his hardware, because usually if you just slow down, you don't slam on the brakes like that, so you lock them. So...
And quite a few people getting caught up in that. Was that Murno, I think, who actually got caught up in the aftermath of it as well, trying to recover?
Yeah, it might be. It definitely wasn't Kneze, because there was a Kostek nearby. Now, this, of course, is if he's allowed to unlap him, is an opportunity for Lucas Murno.
Yeah, and we've just had the call.
Yeah, Murno just got the call to unlap himself. Now, this is a chance for him to get back, and at least... Victor B, once again unlucky there. So that definitely was Murno that had the spin in the background that we saw again. Yeah, but here's now the chance to get at least back on the lead lap to, well, at least salvage his awesome point-scoring record that he has in WMSC. 24 races in a row that he finished in the points. Since race 3 of the inaugural WMSC season, he has never finished outside of the top 8.
That is an incredible record. And obviously, it is under threat today. He's going to have his work cut out if he wants to keep that. Ultimately, the record then would fall down to Filip Puška, who has been in the points 9 times in a row. And like I said, podiumed in the last 8 races as well. An incredible run of form. In the minute, though, Axel Laflamme is trying to get an incredible result for himself and Kostek. Murno, though, in the pits. This is going to be interesting. So, chance to check in on tyres. Everyone started on the medium tyre, with the exception of Gonzalez Cativo, who, as we mentioned, is running the more durable set of tyres. He's on the hard. Everyone's gone for the harder set of tyre in their respective set. So I think Murno is here to repair some damage, obviously, from that collision. And has he switched tyres? Doesn't look like it. He's still on mediums.
Of course, this is to take with a grain of salt. We saw the graphics on the game update a bit late in the past as well. But I guess this really was to fix some damage, as you pointed out. There's only so much you can properly fix in a race situation. If you remember Monza, we had Alexander Knazovic run in the NASCAR specs Scuderia Cesario. Let's look at the onboard, how the suspension looks. It is a bit bent, the suspension, but not as bad as we've seen for some other cars. There you can see it. If he goes in a straight line, he has to slightly the steering is slightly turning to the left, so there is a bit of a band suspension. But yeah, we have seen drivers tackle worse, so it will be interesting to see when we go back into green flag racing how Lucas Mono's pace will be.
Absolutely. I just want to pick up on a couple of things there. So Harley Self has also been allowed to unlap himself. And I just want to pick up on a point from Paul Muller asking, we may have caught, Poland's did kind of a dummy, trying to almost maybe psych out Volborn in terms of going in the pits. And Paul asked, Poland's goes in the pits and they're not. Was this clear and before the line? So just to clarify on the rules, because you can see there is a line on the inside of the final corner coming on the entry to the pit lane, which, as we mentioned before, is not the most ideal place for it. Just want to read the rules on pit entry from race control. Try to keep it to the right side if you want to go into the pits. All other drivers need to pay attention. The line is not really possible, and we've had a higher crash potential if we follow the line strictly. So just don't crash into each other, which is a very solid bit of advice, and just go different ways if you want to pit. So from that interpretation, I think Poland is allowed to kind of do that. He doesn't have to follow the line, but I think you do have to try and signal your intent as early as possible that you're going to go in, but you don't have to hug that line on entry all the way through of that final corner.
Yeah, it is a fantastic track, Watkins Glen, but that pit entry is very, very messy because basically you have to just block the apex of the final corner to stay in the white line, in the yellow line, I think it is. But yeah, so very sensible decision, I think, from race control to issue it that way.
Absolutely. So we've had quite an interesting first few laps, lots going on, but vitally, Poland's had managed to keep Volborn behind. And obviously, he's going to control the restart whenever we get the call. Laflamme's done an incredible job to hold on in third, but he's going to have Pushka right behind him. And it is worth noting, Pushka was shutting the gap to him as well. So I wonder if, with Laflamme falling away from the top two, was he falling back into the grasp of Philip Pushka? That battle will be resumed in a moment as well. But a very, very interesting situation for Philip Pushka. He's got to try and get a result today to keep his slim title fight chances alive. He'd be keen to get past Laflamme. But the only way to stay on the back of these two HRTs is with DRS, and even then I think that would be quite a tall order to do so.
Yeah, but one thing that is still interesting, I just had a look at the fastest lap chart that we also have available, and Yannis Volborn currently has the fastest lap, 120.261. In second, Axel Laflamme, 120.290. Pascal Polens then is in third with a 120.373, and Philip Pushka fastest lap so far is a 121 flat.
So it's incredible pace being shown there from Axel Laflamme in these early stages of the race. The question is, can he keep it up for the duration of the stint? Can he keep it up when we switch the soft tyres as well? So far, a very promising start. He's looked promising in terms of his practice pace and his qualifying pace. It's just not quite come together in the race yet, and it's been a big step up this afternoon so far. Long may it continue. It's a superb bit of driving. Remember, his teammate is down in 14th. He's doing a brilliant job in that Costech. And we could see what happens. Oh, and interestingly, so you may have seen the order of the timing tower change just then. And I wonder if that reorder is the reason that race control has just come on and said the restart's been cancelled. It was just called that we were going to go green again this lap, and the restart's been cancelled.
Yeah,
and Benton Reader, and that golden opportunity for Better Julia just seems to have taken a big hit. Oh my goodness, you've got to be careful. I know Ben Reader's going to be keen to try and stay on the lead lap. He needs to make sure he keeps out the wall and doesn't make the damage worse. But what on earth happened there? Benton Reader He was up in 8th before that incident. I think he will stay on the lead lap comfortably with everyone doing safety car speeds. He can just filter into the pits now. But he's now given himself a job this afternoon to try and take advantage of Villami not being there. Here we go. Let's see what happened. Under safety car. Just lost it trying to keep the tyres warm. Down the chute we go. Oh, and oh my goodness. Wow. I feel like Daniel Benson-Reader maybe stopped for just a touch too long there. Oh, actually, that's a hardware issue by the looks of it, isn't it?
Oh, what on earth? Yeah, that looks very weird.
I think he's, with the way that the throttle was jammed on and the wheel was stuck firmly to the left, that's not him like stopping and suddenly wanting to burn up his tyres. I think he's had a hardware issue and the car's just come to a grinding halt and he's just stopped in the middle of the road. That's really unfortunate for Daniel Benson-Reader. I don't think, at first it looked like he'd misjudged maybe trying to stop and then do a little bit of a burnout for his tyres. But with the way the car was stopped then, that looks like a hardware problem.
Yeah, Fernando Labau also, well, he hit Benson-Reader. He was the first car behind, and then they all crashed into these two. So Fernando also has fixed the damage. So does Benson-Reader. A lot of hardware issues that we see here today. So with confirmation, Alfie White also had a hardware issue when he had this odd moment where he completely but look at the suspension now of Daniel Benson-Reader. This, I think, looks far worse than what we've seen from Murno's on board. So that golden opportunity has now turned into damage limitation for Better Julian.
Obviously, it's hurt João Fernando Labau as well, because obviously they were running 8th and 9th. Seems like his suspension is looking a little bit more aligned, and he's just had to replace wings there, but he is now off the back and has got work to do if he wants to pick up some more points for Magnum Motorsports.
Also, very interesting point raised in the chat by Paul Muller, which is, should not have more cars pitted, because that was like everyone up from P9 was involved in that carnage and made contact in some form or whatever. Well, they didn't lose any aero pieces, but suspension-wise, B looked okay, Meneghetti looks also okay. Myself?
Maybe they got away with it there.
Oh, that's a bit bent for Harley Self. The suspension is a bit bent for him. Bershio looks okay. Murno, yeah, Murno is up to 10th. Kativo also is pulling a bit to the right.
We've had the call from race control. Safety car will come in this lap now, barring any more nonsense. Got a few drivers in that period while repairing damage, also making the switch to super softs. Benson-Reader, Meneghetti, and João Fernando on super soft tyres.
Benson-Reader has retired just in this moment. He went into the pits and he has retired now.
Oh, wow. Optimal survive and will hold on to their position in the Constructors' Championship. Daniel Benson-Reader, a golden opportunity has been lost there, and all from a hardware issue.
Yeah, and for Optiminal, it is just for glory, that 4th position. For Bata Julia, this really is about development money for next year.
Absolutely. Be vital stuff for them. Obviously, Optiminal leaving the sport next year with a new team coming in place. Vanguard Engineering. For Better Julia, who have made solid development this season, have been really solid throughout. Yeah, that's vital for them. Such a shame. And all completely out of Daniel Benton Reeder's hands, it has to be said. So, we move towards the line. This is going to be vital. Can Poland's keep Volborn behind? Can Laflamme keep Pushka behind? When does Pascal Poland's hit the throttle? And is it now?
Yeah, that is
He's
very,
gone
very early.
very early indeed, yes. Still got 3 corners to go,
dear.
and Quercio's in the wall. Well, that's the fate of one Kostek. What about the fate of the other? Through the final corner we go. Poland's from Volborn, from Axel Laflamme, with Philip Pushka chasing behind. The other SCMM and Gajano just behind. Oh, and a little bit wide there from Laflamme. His line's going to be slightly compromised up the hill. Have to be very brave and have the speed. Laflamme going to stay to the inside. He's going to try and force Pushka around the long way.
Oh,
Look
here
at the
goes Gajano.
speed! The speed of the SCMMs, and that is a brilliant move. Oh, there's a little bit of contact between them, is there? Or is that just... I'm not sure if that was contact, but they're all going side by side down the chute. They keep it all in. And they go around the outside. Oh, that's such a shame. They were doing such a good job keeping out of each other. Will that be some form of reprimand or penalty for Laflamme? Oh, it will be such a shame if that's how it goes. It was very close and very tight racing down the chute, but Pushka down to 6th now. We await a decision. Harley Self has been given a drive-through penalty. I wonder if he had some kind of impact with Quercio, and that's why he's currently in the pits getting repaired. But at the minute, Laflamme does hold on to 3rd, but we'll await a decision from race control. He's got Gajano behind him now, but the speed of those SCMMs compared to the Costec, he was stuck there. Right, here we go. Just as the restart goes, oh, and yeah, that's just a little bit of misjudgment there from Harley Self, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there's no discussion about that penalty.
Oh, now Laflamme might survive because Knezovic is now going to put the pressure on Gajano. So this is a good chance for Laflamme to get away, but we're still awaiting a decision if there is one from that. I'm not sure if that's going to be the racing incident or if Laflamme will be seen at fault there. It's hard to tell from that angle. And there is the call. No further action between Pushka and Laflamme. So clearly, a little bit of just a pure racing incident there.
Yeah, I think I agree with it. It would be nice to see a replay if we have the chance, but I didn't see any malicious behavior by anyone. I think it was Pushka on the inside with Laflamme leading around the outside of the corner, and then I think it just got a bit too tight there. Well done by Pushka to keep it pointing in the right direction. I was already seeing him spin around due to that contact. So he kept it pointing in the right direction. But now he has to do it all again. Knezovic not the easiest driver to overtake as well.
Absolutely not. And at the minute we've got 2 defined little battles maybe developing. Laflamme versus Gajano and Pushka on Knezovic, as you say. Not going to look at the move this time. And during all that action, the 2 HRTs traded fastest laps as Gajano gets a little bit out of shape on the bus stop. This is a chance for Knezovic. Oh, no, almost a chance for Pushka to maybe be ambitious. Oh, and almost a carbon copy incident through the chute. But they both keep it pointing in the right direction. Can Gajano hang on to the inside? Knezovic is going to try and hang it round the outside of toe. He's not going to get it this time. Pushka sensing an opportunity to get through. Gajano going defensive. Knezovic to the outside, and they go 3 wide into heel. No, Pushka decides against it. Knezovic holds his nerve and gets the move done. Brilliant work from Alexander Knezovic. And now, will the teammates swap places, or will they fight each other? That'll be interesting to see. But it has allowed Axel Laflamme to drop this battle.
Yeah, he will be watching his rearview mirror and be very happy that he is not part of that.
Oh, he's done a very good job. Keep it there for now. But yes, the two HRTs have once again traded fastest laps and are just dropping everyone at the moment. Keep one eye on their battle, but in the meantime, that looked very scripted. And I think understandable that Philip Pushka has been allowed to go fight and go push.
But look at that, Murno is just 2 cars behind Pushkin now.
Here's the accident. Yeah, I think maybe it's just lack of space. They're probably both going for the corner. Maybe a touch of understeers, but has put Pushka into La Flamme. And a racing incident there. But yeah, no, I had completely missed that. Murno, on the restart, has cut through the pack brilliantly. And he's going to immediately look to put a move. Oh, and he switches to the inside. Oh, that would have been a bold move on Gino Gagiano. But he's looking racy, and yes, he is nursing a little bit of damage, but he's still got plenty of confidence in the car.
Yeah, and considering it was a very, very big impact, potentially race-ending impact maybe even, from what we saw, his car looks alright, so it's not pulling too much in one direction, it's still okay-ish.
The hill we go, up towards the first of 2 DRS zones. Wing pops open, as you can see, Gagiano's still got DRS, but despite that, Murno is closing in, and he's going to try and put pressure on Gagiano as best he can. We have 2 bouts of Cesario versus SCMM. You can just see Knezovic and Pushka up ahead. Murno is going to be hoping his teammate can hold Pushka in there for now. So he's got a chance to get up to him. Bit of a defensive move, half a look there from Murno. Charging to 9, oh my goodness, the closing speed there. Quite dramatic. Through the final corner we go, and solid lap from Gagiano. He's not crumbling under the pressure. He immediately pulls out of the way to not give Murno the slipstream. It's all about what the exit's like from turn 1. At the minute, it seems like Gagiano feels a little bit more confident putting the power down out of 1, which is not surprising considering Murno had his incident there. But slipstream looking strong through 4. DRS is open. There's no DRS for Gagiano. That is, I think that is a very late move from Gagiano there. And I think he didn't quite leave a car's width in the meantime. Gabriel Peckley is queuing up for scraps as well. I imagine Murno will be slightly frustrated by that defensive driving from Gino Gagiano.
Yeah, I guess that could be a final warning. We've seen that have been issued a couple of times because that was very late, almost looked a bit reactionary to what Murno was doing. So, yeah. On the limit, if not a bit over.
Head up to turn 9 once again. And the warning has just been issued, final warning from race control. In the meantime, Victor B has DNF'd. I'm not sure what's happened there. It doesn't look like there's been any big incident. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, Gagiano tries to pull out the way, but the straight line speed of that Cesario was such that even without the slipstream, Murno almost put his nose in the gap there. This is going to be a huge opportunity this time. Oh, that was a connection there. Dear me. That caught us both off guard. He's almost alongside without even the DRS. Is he going to have the move done? He does. And that's a smoothly taken manoeuvre. And there's clearly some connection issues with Murno there because he popped down the order. And yeah, Lucas Murno with some connection problems as he charges forward. Here is Victor B coming down the chute. And that's a connection issue from him. Oh, and it seems to be catching. Brazilian internet clearly having issues, as mentioned by Paul Muller in the chat. Yeah, hopefully that sorts itself out and doesn't cause any more issues. We've also got self-DNF'd as well. Started with 18. There are only 13 left. And in the meantime, Filip Puška has managed to get past Alexander Knežević and all that in a similar move. In fact, it was the exact same lap that Murno pulled his move. DRS into the bus stop. Can Puška set off and catch Laflamme? Laflamme has been able to slip away with Knežević fighting Puška. Can Puška now push open that gap?
I am currently looking at the lap times, but I think we need to wait for Puška to finish this lap, which is the first one that he has in proper clear air. But Axel Laflamme's last lap time was a 1:20.8, and so far he is the only driver that is doing lap times in that 1:20 area. Except for the Holland Racing Team guys, and in fact Lucas Murno. Lucas Murno currently is the third fastest car on track.
That's not bad at all, considering, you know, he's fighting, or was fighting, with Gajano. He's up to his teammate. We'll see if team orders appear, but as they cross the line, we'll get some up-to-date times. What's it looking like now? Filip Puška is clear.
We have, well, they are pretty much head-to-head. Laflamme's last lap time was 1:21.067. Filip Puška 1:21.050. So pretty much nip and tuck, as Lucas Murno is now past Filip Puška. So the next interesting battle there is lurking, because Murno, he is quicker than Puška and Laflamme.
Oh, that was Knežević. That was his teammate. So Murno is going to be catching up to Puška next. So yeah, that looked a bit scripted in that one, and I think Knežević didn't fight that one too hard. In the meantime, Peckley and Smith fighting quite hard. And Peckley up the inside, trying to hold up Misha Smith. Oh!
That is another wheel issue.
That is. He's jammed up again, surely. That looked like it just completely slammed on.
Oh, I don't think he has steering. He has forwards and, well...
What is going on this afternoon? Another hardware issue. And Gabriel Peckley, who was in the points, I didn't see him drop out of the points against Smith initially. But he has done now. And is this going to be another safety car? Because, you know, the car, unless he can get it going, the leaders are not far away. And I think he's just retired. Which, again, you shouldn't do. It should be a case of you have to be told to wait to escape. But that will avoid the safety car, and it does mean the race can continue unhindered. You can see Axel Laflamme running third, 6 seconds back to Filip Puška, and he might be able to increase that gap while these two have a scrap. Third and fourth in the championship, fourth and fifth in the race. Lucas Murno is going to take the fight to Filip Puška now.
And Lucas Murno just set his personal best lap time of the race, which is 1:20.3. Which is the same level as the Holland Racing Team guys are doing right now.
His pace is looking very good indeed. How much of a fight is this going to be? So, out of turn one, very sure not to get it too far over that exit curb. So, how formidable is the DRS going to be? It's not a super long DRS zone. And immediately Puška just weaves out of the zone. You can see him closing in, but certainly not close enough to cause any trouble just yet. And Murno's going to have to be a little bit closer to cause problems, but Pushka, certainly no pushover.
And this, once again, is very good news for Axel Laflamme, because he is going the same pace, if not a bit quicker than Philip Pushka at the moment. So he can extend that gap maybe even, if they start to fight.
And the gap was kind of hovering around the 6-second mark or just under. And it is staying there. We crossed the line again. And that last lap, if I'm reading that correctly... Oh no, that last lap Pushka was a 10th quicker. So it's not exactly like leaps and bounds. It's going to be a lot of work required.
Yeah, I think now Lucas is also at the point where he is affected by dirty air. And well, there is simply not any getting much closer on the start-finish line.
No, absolutely not. And this section of the track, Pushka looks fairly comfortable. In the meantime, Meneghetti has just stopped to go back onto the medium. That's his second stop of the day. It is worth noting that all of these top 8 have yet to stop, with the exception of Lucas Murno, but he crucially didn't change tyre, so he will have to stop again anyway. All of them running medium tyre, all of them needing to use the super soft at some point. Look like we are going to try and see them stretch to a one-stop race. Approaching the halfway mark. But Murno is much, much closer this time. Even before DRS is active. How hard is Pushka going to fight this? I imagine quite, but he's got there and he's had to just tuck in. I am sure he's not going to be... he doesn't want that to be the end of it just yet. That was a good run out of turn 1 for Lucas Murno. He had to get that right to be able to make the move. Very nicely done. In the meantime, João Fernando is tangling with Gonzalez Cativo. Cativo, the only runner on the hard tyre this afternoon. Going to be able to run quite late indeed into the race on those. Very durable tyre.
We've talked about the fight for P6 in the Constructors' Championship ahead of this race as well. And this one is now a great opportunity for Valachita, Magnum, and of course Infernal Void. But the biggest chance currently is for Kostek to improve their position. Laflamme on the podium, this would be 6 points, and that would elevate them to 10 points in total. That is not too far off Potenza either, and their main driver, Gabriel Peckley, main point scorer, is out of this race now. So with a big result, Kostek could make a major leap a la Alpine, like they did in Formula 1 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. So this is a big opportunity for them.
Absolutely, and you know, the biggest result of the season came from the man that Laflamme is replacing today, Philip Feckler, the team boss as well, who came 5th all the way back in Canada. And you know, even if Murno and Pushka somehow sort their differences out and catch him and pass him, he could still equal that today. So he just needs to keep doing what he's focusing on, what he's doing, and it could be a great result for him and Kostek, but at the minute, there is still a chance of a podium. And we are riding on board with the other Cesario SCMM fight. Knezovic currently ahead of Gino Gajano. Up the hill we go. The RS zone coming up. Doesn't look quite tucked in enough. I think this might be slightly too far back for Gino. But the DRS is very powerful. He has half a look, but then the bus stop approaches, and it is not the easiest complex of corners to make a move into.
Indeed, when I race here, I'm always a bit scared to make a move into that corner because it's such a hard right-left pull that when you're not far enough up the along the insides, you may cause a big accident.
Now we've had a little update from Gabriel Peckley. His notebook fell on the table, wheel turned off. Sorry for any problem today. So again, and just the number of hardware issues that have beset the grid this afternoon. Hopefully that's the last one. But yeah, Peckley was running in the points when that happened. In the meantime, Gajano very close. Got the run up to 1, but a bit too late. Defensive move from Knezovic, but they're very close now as they run up the hill. Going to be tucked right under the rear wing when they come out of 4. And with DRS, this could be the opportunity. What side does Knezovic go to? He sticks to the inside. Going to make him go the long way round, but he keeps it in there, and they go side by side through the bus stop. Oh, and 2 into 1 really doesn't go there. And as you were saying, it's dicey. Gajano does a good job pointing the right way, but he's going to have to work to do all that again. In the meantime, it's possibly the worst possible scenario you can think of for Axel Laflamme, in the fact that Pushka is sticking with Murno, but he's not really challenging or trying to make a move on him. So what's happening is both of them are now reeling in Laflamme in second place.
Yeah, it's a situation, as we have seen quite often this year, with the DRS being so powerful that Murno was able to go quicker than Pushka. We saw that before, but now he is dragging Pushka with him with the help of DRS. So this is soon to be a 3-way fight.
Wonder how hard does Pushka fight? Because Murno didn't get the best exit out of 1 there. He might have an opportunity here to make a move, and he might want to look at doing it before Murno gets DRS up ahead. Or is he content to sit in behind, because they can kind of work together at this point in working their way back up to Laflamme?
Gajano is the first car to properly go into the pits in a planned matter, I would suggest, because he's now in there after that half spin he had at the chicane. And there is a Potenza just at the exit of turn 1. Diego Meneghetti, I think he's lost his front wing. I presume the same thing that happened to Lucas Murno earlier this race has happened to Meneghetti as well.
Let's find out. It does look like that's going to be the case. It absolutely is. Part of the underfloor just scraping against that curb. A little bit of a skateboard grind along it and into the wall. The interesting with Gajano going in, how far off are we seeing the stops? Will anyone look to try and pull the all-powerful undercut? I think we're looking at maybe one of the people who might try that. The other being Yanis Volborn up ahead, who stayed about half a second away from his teammate. Knezovic is in as well. Was fighting Gajano, but obviously he's going to make that switch now.
Yeah, this may just be a reaction to Gajano's pit stop. Remember, they were running together until that half spin from Gajano. This is going to be incredibly close, considering that there was quite the gap between the two of them.
Yeah, just
So
in
once
that
again,
one lap, that has really closed them back up again. But Fernando off wide. Has he got all... Oh, I was going to say he looked okay, but is he pulling off to the side? It's another quit out. Everyone is just content to break the rules this afternoon. So, Magnum's shot at points is done.
Yeah, and once again, that looked a bit like a wheel issue.
Oh no, well it starts with the grind and pulling to the wall. I wonder if he's just decided, oh, the damage is too much, I'm not going to haul the car around. But again, oh, and the second part of that looks slightly odd. But yeah, the most important thing is he should have stayed in the car and waited for race control to give him the signal. In the meantime, though, Murno and Pushka have caught up to Axel Laflamme. And the question for Laflamme is, how hard does he fight this? Because any form of points for Costech would be an incredible result. And you just have to look at how quickly Murno is going. In the last lap alone, there was a second between their lap times. Does he just try and stay out of the way, or does he fight this? Oh, and there's your answer. He decides now is the moment to change tyres. And that might be a smart decision, because that undercut might help bring him back out with a little bit of a gap, especially with Pushka only being like 4/10 away from Murno. They might fight and slow each other down a little bit.
But this all depends where he comes out. It's going to be very close with Misha Smith and Gonzalez Cativo, I assume. So there was Smith.
Has got a little bit of space there, so that's good.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to check is he was slightly over the line there. I think he was fine with that pit exit. Keep 2 tyres on the right side of the orange line, which he absolutely did. So he was all right with his pit exit. Slightly worried for him for a moment, but good stop, and it might be a good decision. How will these two respond? Head round turn 9. Pit entry's just coming up on the right now. Does anyone duck in? No, they stay out. They continue their fight. Finishing up ahead, Poland's and Volborn. There's a second between them now. Poland's starting to put a little gap on. Does Volborn consider it as well? In the meantime, Maurizio Quercio has been given a penalty for ignoring blue flags. Laflamme has caught Smith very, very quickly indeed. We shall see how much Smith fights this, because these guys are very much on different races this afternoon. And for Laflamme, he will be determined to get past. I would say Smith is just going to tuck in quite nicely. And that will work out perfectly for Axel Laflamme. So, back up to P5. Every lap that Murno and Pushka stay out is going to be timed, but obviously it comes back at the end of the race with the tyre offset, because they will have slightly fresher super softs to push on. So, towards the penultimate turn we go. Does anyone make the call this time? No, they stay out. They're clearly going for the tyre offset, and they're clearly feeling comfortable on these medium tyres that they started the race on. Well, Murno, his is probably technically a few laps fresher, because he did stop to repair damage.
Yeah, and I think Philip Pushka will be quite happy to run in the slipstream and the DRS window of Lucas Murno for the moment, because his lap times are quite quick, as Axel Laflamme has just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:19.336.
He's got incredible one-lap pace, and he's in clear air on the super softs. Now, don't get me wrong, I imagine the HRTs one of them will take the fastest lap off him when they get fresh super softs on, and they'll have even lighter fuel in the car. But that should be a sign to Murno and Pushka up ahead that they're going to have to do probably the work that they've just done all over again if they're going to catch and pass him.
Exactly, and one cannot praise Axel Laflamme enough for this race and his performance today. This is a team that has been in the points only once before in a very chaotic race in Canada where Fakala finished 5th. Their only points result ever in the WMSC, and he is on merit in 3rd. Well, if we consider the pit stop strategy. So he really is the 3rd, maybe 4th fastest car on track today.
It's a superb performance, and let's hope he can see it to fruition. Max making a good point in chat there that Murno's hard tyres are 8 laps newer than Philip Pushka. So it'll be interesting to see when they're both on similar super soft tyres of a similar life. Will this fight be a bit closer? Because obviously it looks like, oh, well, Murno's got the pace over Pushka, but Pushka is nursing slightly older tyres and is keeping up with the Cesario driver. So when they're both on super soft tyres, this fight might heat up a little bit. And again, they stay out.
Now there's a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say up ahead, the gap between Poland's and Volborn just dropped to under 1/10 of a second, but it's gone up again. I wonder if they were just closing up to the bus stop, which we're maybe about to see now with Philip Pushka. Pushka's tucked right under the rear wing. He sets out his stall. Oh, no, he doesn't. I thought he was going to pick a direction early, but he doesn't make the move. Maybe he is just sitting in behind because he doesn't want to cost them too much time, because he knows that obviously Laflamme is charging behind. You were saying, Robin?
Oh yeah, I just had a look at the current tire situation. The interesting thing is, we've seen Alexander Knezovic fall into the pits as well, but he has gone for another set of mediums, not the super soft.
That is interesting. So is he running an extra stop? In the meantime, Pascal Polans makes the call first. And he goes into the pits. No undercut for Yannis Volborn. It'll be an important few laps for both of them. They need to put in their best. I imagine that this is going to be a switch to super softs at the end of the race. He is going to have a little bit of traffic, though, because unfortunately, these two guys have not stopped yet, and that might scupper his plans. There is Poland's on to the super softs. Volborn. As Max says rightly in chat, he is doing enough. It's not like he needs to risk anything to win the race today. He does react, though, straight away. And he's in the pits. So, the picture in picture now, we have Pascal Polans coming up through turn 9. He has immediately caught up to these two being Murno and Pushka. Are either of them going to dive in this lap? Oh, they do. I think they're both going into the exact same time. So down the main straight we go. Here comes Polans. He's going to have the speed through one. And it's pretty much going to be resume where you left off. Pushka will Polans will just have the extra speed keep him ahead. In the meantime, Axel Laflamme is through and out. Murno resumes ahead of Pushka. And that is all of the stops done for this front fight. And they've used the tyres they need to use.
And in 6 laps, Axel Laflamme has pulled 7 seconds of a gap.
So he's done a good job there. The question is, can he hold it? How hard does Philip Pushka try and attack Lucas Murno now there is parity on their tyres? Or does he again just sit in behind? They can slowly catch up. As predicted earlier, Pascal Poland's now on the super soft tyres. Comes in and sets the fastest lap of the race, beating Laflamme's previous best by 0.2 of a second. In the meantime, there is a potential positive afternoon ahead for the family of teams that is Velocita and Infernal Void. 2 of their cars in the points. Although Misha Smith is now much closer. And here is why. Just on the curb. But doesn't lose a wing and manages to spin it round and keep it going again. Just. And that is why he's suddenly under pressure from Kativo and Knezovic. And Kativo is in the pits.
So I think that leaves just Misha Smith that has to do a green flag pit stop to switch onto the super softs. And, well, Knezovic, who has stopped on the mediums, so he needs to go into the pits again to put on a set of super softs. And I wonder if that has happened by accident, because I don't see too much sense behind that strategy, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, in the meantime, the 2 Holland Racing Team cars are very close. But no move yet from Volborn. And Knezovic trying to pass Smith, and as mentioned, Smith needs to stop. Both of these drivers still need to. They're going to be holding up someone in a moment who doesn't need to stop in the form of Gino Gajano. Due to the DRS. Knezovic looking to go around the outside and makes the move. Evo, in the meantime, was the one who's lone runner on the soft tyre. He's going to be hoping these guys stay out for a bit longer because can get ahead. That's points for him.
Pascal Poland has just obliterated the previous fastest lap, which was a 119.1. Now we're down to 118.3.
And Volborn, who is so close in behind, but I think they're showing that he's not particularly bothered about making an attack. His time was only 0.3 down. Both of these cars lapping in the 1:18 18s. As it stands, there's only 2 drivers lapping in the 1:19 19s, and that's Murno and Pushka. Laflamme is currently doing 1:20.1s, so he is at risk from those 2 catching him. Meantime, Gajano now past Smith up into 1. Smith is looking at fighting back, though. He's not letting this go, even though he's going to make a stop. He's coming straight back, and I think he will get DRS, and he'll take it back. And Gajano won't be particularly happy. Smith has to stop anyway. But he's going to have to fight with him all the way down through the chute. Looks nose to the inside. Smith hangs on. Car obviously not too damaged from that moment.
That was some great racecraft shown there by Misha Smith. On those old mediums. I think now he has to yield though.
Oh no, he's still ahead. Incredible. I think he's done a brilliant job there. And it looks like he's going to stick to the inside. And they both go
Pino's
in.
coming in as well.
Pino doesn't need to, surely. But he is coming in.
Well, Gino was the first to stop onto the super softs. Maybe Knezovic's strategy is not that bad after all, because he was saying no way are those super softs gonna last to the end. And therefore, he leaves them to the very last stint. But Gagliano still, because of the better job by the pit crew there, the teams can upgrade them, of course. Yeah, he has now pulled ahead of Misha Smith.
So Smith now just sat outside the points, but only 2 seconds between them. So there is still a chance for Smith. Obviously, Kativo is up the road on slightly older soft tyres. So there is a chance they could catch him as well, but it'd be interesting to see the difference between the soft and the super soft. It's not a comparison we get to see a lot. In the meantime, here is Mauricio Quercio, currently running in 10th. Started with 18, and 10th is the last running car at the moment. And Pushka still chasing Murno. Feel like he is just biding his time. As once again, Axel Laflamme is in view.
Yeah, but I think Laflamme's pit stop maybe was a bit too early as well. His last lap time was a bit better. He managed to get back into the 119 window. But the last couple of laps, it was always 120, 120.5. Yeah, he lost a second a lap in the early stint after Murno and Pushki came in. So this time they might have an easier job getting by the Kostek.
Interesting though, if he wanted to, Laflamme could stop again. Not for any kind of reason that would help him get third, because I think that, he's kind of not got the upper hand in that now. But if he was struggling on those super softs to the end, the gap back to Knezovic is 24 seconds, and Knezovic needs to stop to put on some super softs anyway. So in theory, Laflamme could stop again, and he'd end up 5th, which, if he does lose these positions now on the road, might be a good choice, because I think that's what his potential best could be today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there is no point in coming in right now. I think he can afford to try and stay out as long as he can, and to try and stay ahead as long as he can, because, as you say, Knezovic has to pit, and then the gap to Kativo is very huge. So lots of time to the pit stop at the end then.
Absolutely. This is definitely looking like the biggest fight on the field with 10 to go, as Volborn doesn't seem too bothered about fighting Poland's just yet. But the gap is up to about 1.3 seconds, so Poland's holding on and currently holding the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, I do not quite get the approach of Wilborn. I see, Max has pointed out in the chat that, he might just stick behind, because if he finishes second behind Poland in all of the remaining races, he will still be champion. But there are things that are outside of his control. He may be tangled up in a lap 1 accident in one of the last 2 races. And we just received, this is why I stopped that sentence, a message from race control that Mauricio Quercio once again has received a black flag for dangerous driving. So this is a disqualification again for Mauricio Quercio.
Second race in a row as well. After what can only be described as a chaotic Silverstone for him. We'll see what happened shortly with that front wing and why he's been given that call. But talk about contrasting fortunes. Here's the other Kostec, Axel Laflamme, and he now has Lucas Murno and Philip Pushka bearing down on him. They will have DRS coming through this approach. I think they're slightly too far back on this run into the bus stop, but they are almost with him. So here is Quercio. Oh, and he just loses it into the wall. And does he stay out by any chance? He decide to continue round without going to get this fixed, or is this happened just as he's been called into the pits? Or maybe that happens around the same time. Or maybe not getting out of the way to avoid blue flags. He must have done something else to get the black flag call.
Yeah, I just got word from race control. It was Mauricio almost crashed into Yannis Wilborn at the chicane. So this is the instance for which he got the black flag, that losing the front wing had nothing to do with it.
In the meantime, the other Kostec now under increasing pressure. He's got Murno right behind him up the hill. This is surely going to be the opportunity for Lucas Murno. Past the DRS activation zone now. Wing open. Here comes Murno to the outside. Does Laflamme fight it? He does. Oh! And he had every right to fight it and every right to be there, but it's just so hard to go side by side through there. And let's hope that's not damaged his car. Oh,
no,
it has!
No!
It has! I cannot believe it. He's picked up damage from that incident, and Laflamme is out. And also escapes before the call. That is devastating. He'd done everything right up to that point, and I think he just fought that one a little bit too hard. A little bit of damage, loses it into the chute, and Laflamme is out.
And that is no points for Kostec then today. That could have been a massive haul. Surely it was a massive haul of points, even when if they finished just 5th. That would be equaling their best result. And that still would have been 4 points for them today.
So incredibly, we now only have 8 cars left running, which is the 8 scoring positions.
Yeah, and once again, Laflamme immediately left the session, which is not allowed. We've seen this a couple of times today. I think the drivers will be reprimanded ahead of next race for this, that they really should not quit out of it, but wait for the call from race control. This is the rules. I do get that Axel Laflamme might be especially frustrated after that one, but yeah, I think they will get a talking to then.
Yeah, there's going to be a fair few reprimands coming for quite a few drivers after today's race. But here it is again. Let's have a look at this fight. Oh no, sorry, this is Quercio. Sorry, apologies. So this is the issue that got Mauricio Quercio black flagged. And really, that from there, Quercio just needs to. Oh my goodness! Quercio just needs to duck out of that. Why on earth he is sending it through there? And you can see it nearly puts Volborn off.
But this is exactly what I've been talking about earlier before we had the call. For the with the disqualification, of course, a big moment there for Misha Smith, who almost lost the car on the grass there. There are things that Yanis cannot control, and this is one of them. There are things that are completely out of control that could go wrong in these last two races, and then I don't think he'll look back happily for not fighting for the win here today. I do not quite understand this approach.
It's the schools of thought of, is it just damage limitation? It's doing what you need. In the meantime, Knezovic, who's had a late stop, is now caught up with Gonzalo Cativo. Please, let's have at least 8 cars fill the points, guys. As we go into the bus stop, Cativo has to run wide. Knezovic, and now he's got Gajano. Gajano's followed him through. And we now have the fight between a Cesario and an SCMM once again. The leaders are coming through. They need to get out of the way. Got Pascal Poland's just in behind, and I think Gajano has spotted them. No, he hasn't. These two are surely going to be getting blue flags, calling them out of the way now. Gajano that surely is going to have to get out the way soon. You can see there's actually blue flags being held out of that marshal post, and he waits quite a while. Oh, and he moves back in front of Volborn.
Oh.
And he just bails out. And again, your point kind of being proven about how close that could have been to an accident there, of him not being seen. And I can tell, obviously, Gajano is keen to not lose too much time, because he wants to fight Knezovic. But at the minute, in a moment, Knezovic is going to have to do the same thing and bail out.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe there is even an opportunity for Gino just bail out of the way early, try and stick with them, run in their slipstream, and then see if he can seize the opportunity when Kneze inevitably has to leave them by. But he is taking his time as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do this any earlier. Unless he decides to head to the inside here, I think he's going to wait to the main straight, which to me is 3 corners too late.
Yeah, I think he should have done it in the
Wait incredibly late. And again, that's him thinking about trying to not give up too much to Gajano. That is the perils of fighting someone while having to look out for blue flags. I dare say it's more perilous for the people that are coming through. So it does look like our 2 Holland Racing Team cars are holding station. Now here is the moment. So Laflamme goes side by side, and he must just pick up some damage there. I imagine. Oh no!
I think he just too late on the brakes.
But the wheel wasn't moving there.
Oh,
his steering wheel wasn't moving there.
Yeah, that might be an issue. Once again, so many hardware issues.
So that's interesting. So Max writes in the chat. So he wrote I and lost the car. So obviously you write I to report an incident to race control. So obviously not happy with maybe that confrontation with Murno through the bus stop. And in writing I, having to kind of take it off, he says he's lost the car. Or well, it looks like he's lost the car while doing it. But it does look like from the replay, the steering wheel wasn't moving. And usually, even on replays, the steering wheel moves. So there may be hardware. I'm not sure. There's a potential hardware issue in there for it because it doesn't look like he's like. It just looked locked straight forward.
Yeah, that is even more frustrating. Even, well, hardware issue or not, even with that writing I in the chat to ask Race Control to have a look at that incident that we saw earlier. Maybe should have just waited 3 full corners longer, the next long straight, and then do it there.
Absolutely. Well, there's only a few more corners to go for Pascal Polens, who has once again taken pole and led this race. Interesting when they're both in the chat to see how hard they're fighting. We'll ask them that question come the end of the race when we speak to our top 3. Pascal Polens will shut the gap to within a race win, going from 11 to 9 points. It does look like Volborn isn't going to make any last-minute moves. He's not even close enough to try. Here we have Magnum Team Boss in chat. Frustrating afternoon, but a special livery coming in Brazil, as there will be for Cesario. Would be a very interesting race indeed. It is one that could decide the championship. But for now, the Holland Racing Team fight is a little bit tighter. It's back-to-back wins for Pascal Polens. Congratulations. Yannis Volborn comes home in second. And that is just another reason why these guys have sewn up the Constructors' Championship so early. In the meantime, what a recovery for Lucas Murno this afternoon. All the way to the back after an error. Made the use of getting to unlap from the safety car, and he comes home and holds off Philip Pushka. Now he's quite happy about that. Good bit of damage limitation from him. In the meantime, Philip Pushka is, from my maths, officially out of the Constructors. The title fight. He was never in the Constructors fight. He's just a man. I think all 8 cars might have finished by now. There aren't that many left. Incredible. So let's have a look at the provisional results. Pascal Polens wins from Yannis Volborn, Holland Racing 1-2. Lucas Murno, a brilliant recovery to hold off Philip Pushka and round out the podium. Knežević comes home 5th, ahead of Gino Gagliano. And then it's a brilliant double points finish for the Infernal and Velocita family. Gonzalez Cativo in 7th and Misha Smith in 8th. Good work from them to stay out of the chaos. Then Axel Flam, such a heartbreaking end to his day, in 9th, ahead of Mauricio Quercio, who was disqualified. Diogo Meneghetti, 11th, ahead of João Fernando. Gabriel Peckley, one of the many hardware issues we've seen this afternoon, ahead of Harley Self. Victor B. Daniel Benton-Reader, another hardware casualty, in 16th. Alfie White finishing ahead of Paolo Villami in 18th. And many of those likely to get post-race reprimands and potentially grid penalties for the next race for quitting out without waiting for the say-so from race control. So we will have the top 3 in with us in just a moment. But bear with us. And we will speak to our podium finishers for rounding out the day. Getting them in now. There's already discussion in the Discord about those rules. Awaiting them to come through. Very interesting afternoon in terms of drives today. A great drive from Lucas Murno. It would have been an incredible drive from Axel Laflamme. Still unsure about the true reason or the true cause for that DNF, whether it was damage, whether it was distraction reporting in, or whether there was some hardware issues. Just missing out on points.
Yeah, but I think still, you must see it from a positive side in terms from Kosteg, because they were in the fight for a podium on merit, on pace. It was a very chaotic race, but Axel Flam had nothing to do with it. He was starting there. He made it into the top 3 in lap 1.
I've had confirmation. His wheel did disconnect.
Okay.
That is heartbreaking. Because he'd done everything right. Such a shame. We are now joined, though, by the podium sitters. And we start with race winner Pascal Polens. Pascal, congratulations. 2 in a row for poles and the race win. Feeling good there this afternoon?
Yeah, car was once again really good. I think you could see that in the gap we had to all the other teams, and yeah, I don't want to sound cocky, but it was a walk in the park.
Well, it has to be said, Holland Racing Team were head and shoulders above the rest of the field this afternoon. Once you guys got away, you looked fairly comfortable. Obviously, you brought upgrades to this race. Did you know going in it was going to be that easy, or were you even surprised by how dominant your cars were this afternoon?
I mean, we could see in the training that all the other guys were struggling really hard over curbs, especially in the fast chicane. And you also saw their lap times. So yeah, we kind of expected it to be quite easy today, actually.
Well, it certainly looked that way. In terms of the championship, obviously constructors well and truly sorted. Almost a victory lap in that respect this afternoon. In the drivers, the gap is now down to 9 points. Is the fight on? Are you fighting for this title with your teammate?
Well, I think at the moment I can't do much more than winning. And I think our car is so strong now compared to all the others that I think it's done and dusted for Janis, because with a gap like this today, I don't see anyone going to beat Janis. And so I can only gain, like, I think it's 4 points if you finish in this order like we did today. Yeah. I mean, I'll still try, but I think Janis has got it.
No, that's very pragmatic. But like you say, it's nice to see you're doing everything you can do to give us a bit of a title fight. But no, a very well driven afternoon. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yanis, to you, fairly comfortable. How hard were you willing to fight your teammate, or were you happy to kind of sit in and just take the points you needed?
Yeah, at one point I thought, yeah, it'd be fun if we fight now, but we have rules. Yeah, so the car who's ahead finishes ahead.
Fair enough. So very much a managed race from that perspective in terms of not wanting to kind of ruin any advantages.
Nope, no risk.
Nope, fair enough. That's a completely valid approach. Obviously, you've got 2 races to go. You're leading by 9 coming into Brazil. Are you keen to get it wrapped up in Brazil, or are you happy just to kind of take your time and just use your advantage?
Yeah, first of all, I have to hope that I won't get try to get murdered again by certain people who are linked with certain peoples. Yeah, but I hope I can win it in Brazil. That would even taste even more.
No, it does. It was a couple of hairy moments with back markers there this afternoon.
Yeah.
Quite heart in mouth. Obviously, there was the disqualification from Mauricio Quercio. I imagine that is the incident particularly you're referring to, because you also had a close scrape with Gino as well, who I don't think maybe saw you after he'd let Pascal through. Yeah, slight concern there, I'm guessing, in those moments.
Yeah, surely. I just saw him trying to murder me in my mirror, and yeah, I think there should definitely be a race ban.
It is his second, obviously, disqualification in a
Yeah.
row.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will see how they
Yeah.
handle that. But yeah, I completely understand your frustration with that, because obviously you're running your own race, and the last thing you want is to be ruined by someone who's essentially in a different race.
Yeah.
Completely. Well, congratulations anyway. A great result for you and the team. And yeah, let's see if you can do it in Brazil. Well done, Yanis.
Thank you.
Lucas, to you, what an eventful afternoon it was indeed. Let's first of all talk about where it went wrong. So it was a solid start, but we saw quite a few people losing it on turn one. Is there an issue if you run out too wide on that curb that you just kind of, it gets a bit slippy, or what happened there?
Oh, honestly, though, about the first corner, I think there's a one part on the curb that was quite slippery, and I think they touched only the rear wing, only the rear wheel there, and I've spun, which was a shame. I At this situation, I thought it was the end, but the safety car happened. But I had to drive even with a broken suspension during the whole race, so could be really hard to recover. Didn't expect to be in the podium after all, but that was good for me. That was solid for this one. But about the turn one, that was a little part of the curb that you didn't get right. You would spun, and it happened to me. Didn't happen to me in the practices, so it was unfortunately. But in the end, we could stay on the podium anyway.
No, and I think you might take some solace from the fact that you certainly weren't the only person to do that exact same thing at turn one. So I think it caught quite a few people out. Yeah, obviously you got that safety car and were able to get your lap back and work through. You mentioned a little bit about the suspension damage. Obviously, you still felt confident enough in the car to be able to push it quite hard. Or
Yeah.
yeah,
What?
you felt confident enough in the car to be able to kind of push as hard as you could, or was there a little bit of concern?
With the mediums was a little bit of concern. Was a little bit of concern in the beginning, but I was adapting myself to the situation. And with the supers, I thought it's gonna be more harder to stay, but it was a little bit better with the softs to get used since I got used with the mediums, and in the end we could catch Axel in the end, and we got a good go to go back to the podium. Uh, since I only got P4 since the second part of the season. So in the end, it was a really good result. I didn't expect to be go any further than P3. It's gonna be a hard fight, but I believe that was a big good bonus despite eventful race I had.
No, absolutely. And finally, you've got Brazil coming up next. I imagine you're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, for Interlagos, the race home is really something to enjoy, and I will get to prepare a little bit more harder for this race since it was a home race. So it's gonna be even harder since the HRTs made upgrades to their car. So it's gonna be hard, but let's see what it happens. Everything can happen in the Interlagos. like we saw in the real life and even last year. So yeah, it's gonna be a good perspective, and I hope we could get even more least eventful weekend.
Absolutely. No, yeah, there is any chance for many things to happen in Interlagos. So yeah, who knows? Hopefully it's another good day for you. Well done, Lucas. Great drive.
Oh, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our broadcast today. Next time, in 2 weeks' time, it is Interlagos. And I'm afraid to say I'm not going to be there for this one. And I am gutted because not only is Interlagos a brilliant circuit, but also there is a chance the title gets sewn up. Or not. It could get even closer. Who knows, with a place like Interlagos. Robin, you're on your own next time, but I imagine you're going to have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm very much looking forward to it because I always love races at Interlagos. Yeah, it would be interesting to cover all the action that is probably going to happen there alone, but I think I'll manage. So yeah, really looking forward to that one in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. And I do hope everyone will join us. Thank you for watching us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for watching.